I've heard that when baby ducklings are born, they will automatically follow the first creature that they see and regard that as their provider and protector. Usually, obviously, it's the mother duck, but they will apparently follow anyone, anything. And the modern woman is exactly like a baby duckling. When she encounters feminism and feminists, whether it's in newspapers, but anywhere in the media, I'm always mentioning the media. The media is just a feminist quagmire. It's a cesspool of feminist bitchery and male cowardice. And women are programmed instinctively through millions of years of evolution to automatically follow the dominant male. But the dominant male in the last few decades has been replaced in the woman's enfeebled mind by the dominant feminist. And she is just too stupid to understand the difference. So if the feminists, as feminists do, attack men, real men, women will start attacking those men, particularly when those men don't pipe up and prove that they're more powerful than the feminists. And they don't do that because they're not instinctively programmed to attack women. It's just not in there. And feminists know this and they play on it. And so women just regard feminists as being their providers and their protectors. They protect them from the bestial men all around them, even though women know full damn well that the overwhelming majority of men are perfectly decent human beings. They're perfectly happy believing lies about domestic violence and rape and sexual harassment and stalking, providing it makes them feel good about themselves, which for some bizarre reason, which I can't understand, women enjoy that. And feminists provide them with this pseudo protection from this virtually non-existent male oppression. And as I've said before, when it comes to providing, feminists give women the impression that they're being underpaid and overworked in the house, and they will provide them for them by instructing them to get their husbands to do half of their work and how they should be paid more for the same work when they do already get paid equal pay for equal work. Anyway, I think that point's made. So feminists have completely replaced men in the eyes of women. And yet, of course, women don't want to marry feminists, they want to marry men, the same men that they despise. And they can't even see their own hypocrisy, their own stupidity in all this. And the titles I could have had for this video were, why are all the good men taken? Where have all the good men gone? Where have all the real men gone? All these titles have been used up so many times before, they're like a cliche. And as far as the good men are concerned, well, what would the average person consider a good man to be? And if you ask the average woman, if you said to her, okay, well, and I've dealt with this before, I'm sure, in another video, well, what do you consider to be a good man? What qualities do you look for in him? And they'll say, oh, I want him to be gentle and caring and honest and sensitive and kind and trustworthy and honest and blah, 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 blah. This has all been washed into their brains in women's magazines and newspapers and on daytime TV. And I use the word sensitive there. When she says sensitive, she means sensitive to her ever-changing moods and not sensitive to himself. And if you say, so you'd like a nice guy then? And she'd say yes. And we all know where nice guys finish. So if you had a guy who displayed those characteristics that the woman is claiming that she's looking for as primary characteristics, she'd reject him in a heartbeat. He would be a nice guy. He'd be a wimp. She'd say to him, oh, I just want to be friends with you. You're such a good friend. Or, oh, you're like a brother to me. And lie after lie after lie after lie. I've seen this play itself out on daytime debate shows about, I don't know, 20 years ago. And they used to crown these audiences, and the discussion, as usual, would be based on gender. And you'd have the bad guys deliberately picked for the audience, of women bad-mouthing the bad guys and saying how terrible these womanizers, I suppose the old day equivalent of the pickup artists, and they'd be castigating them, telling them how terrible they were. And you'd have the wimpy mangina type guy that they claim that they want, and he'd pipe up looking for pussy praise, and he'd come up with something like, well,
I think those men are so terrible. I have so much respect for women, and I think women should be treated equally, and those men should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And he'd be convinced when he got a huge round of applause from the women that he was going to score that night. He was going to go home with two or three of them. He's not. He's just automatically dismissed because the women are only interested in these bad guys. And this plays itself out in real life. Women go for bad boys. And so they end up, in some cases, with bad men. And as far as the good men are concerned, it's not so much a question that they're all taken. These days, men are so aware of marriage and the dangers of divorce, the good men don't want to know. They're staying away. They've gone MGTOW, they're playing the field, but they're not even biding their time anymore. There are no, certainly what I call good men left for women. And by the way, I was speaking about those secondary characteristics. If you look at the primary characteristics that a woman looks for in a man when she's not in brainwash mode, when she's thinking for herself and she's talking from her own point of view, she'll talk about how she wants a man I could curl up at his feet and die. Tall, dark and handsome. A man who can make me weak at the knees. Someone who's going to sweep me off my feet. Think of all that phraseology. That is all submissive to the dominant male. Tall, dark and handsome, yeah, tall. Dominant. Weak at the knees, that's a sign of you want to be dominated. Weak at the knees, that's a sign of submissiveness. And when it comes to swept off your feet, well, I'm afraid to say that the only good men these days, metaphorically, if they encounter you as a potential partner, if they sweep you off your feet, it's going to be into the nearest garbage can, because you have become genealogical garbage as a result of being brainwashed by feminists and a result of the utterly corrupt divorce system. And politicians, and above all the man-hating mainstream media, are responsible for this. The media are the conduit of the government to the people, and they are feeding this information to women. This is genuinely a calculated thing. It's there's nothing accidental about this when it's going on all over the Western world and beyond. Women are being brainwashed. Well, no, not being. They are now brainwashed. They're gone. And how much hope there is for them, as long as males continue to just smirk and snigger about this, I'm not sure that anything's going to change anytime soon, apart from Muslims, as they become more and more emboldened, because they won't take any shit from feminists, and they won't take any shit from women either. I don't like to have to tell you, ladies, but I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. One day you're going to beg for this so-called patriarchy, a patriarchy that currently, by the way, serves feminists who don't want the best for women. They want women to be forced into the workplace. They want women to hate men the same way they do, and yet so many of them have families of their own. And the male cowards in parliaments all over the world, they are tied to the block right to vote of women. They can't defy the man-hating media. If they say anything in defence of men, they automatically become rounded on. They're treated like a pariah. And so what way out? I don't know. But as the title says, ladies, you have allowed feminists to make your bed for you, and you must now lie in it alone. Unless, of course, you choose to do what so many women claim that they do, because this is how low women's opinions of men are. So many women, I can't remember the percentages now, I've read it in women's magazines in the past, say that when they get married, they're settling. They're settling for him. Yeah, try telling that to his mother. Well, I'm marrying your son because I'm settling. I suppose he's the best I can do. And you're going to end up with a complete man-china, a complete cockroach, cockroach. I was originally going to call this channel Cockroach Insecticide Supplier, and I'm going to give a lesson to cockroaches very shortly on how to unfuck themselves and start to behave like real men and reject the modern woman till she comes to her senses. Thank you.